Okay guys, first off, thanks for watching my videos. I genuinely appreciate it. A good friend of mine through Facebook he suggested that I make an AK video of disassembly and cleaning it and then reassembly. First off, YouTube is saturated with gun cleaning videos. I'm sure there's a lot of great videos out there that they might be more knowledgeable about it than I am. But my plan is here to not to oversaturate anybody with too much information. I'll give somebody just enough information what they need. Try to make this short and sweet as possible, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But anyway, this here is my new Century Arms AK. I cleaned it when I first got it, and I shot 80 to 100 rounds through it is all. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it again. Always, you want to make sure there's no magazine in it, obviously. Check the bolt, make sure it's empty. Can't be too safe. Okay, we're going to start off by pressing this little pin in here, this little button. Press that. Remove the dust cover. Pull the spring out the back, and you'll see there's two little notches here cut out. You'll pull the bolt back. It will slide up. There's the bolt. Here's the removal of the bolt. There it is. Now, for the purpose of this video, that's as far as I'm going right now. I might make another one later on, do the trigger assembly and all that. But for now, that's going to be as much as I take apart. Now, my next step is going to be to clean it with spray it down with COP. I'll let it set for a few minutes, and then we'll get started with the barrel. Basically, when I lube this up, I spray a light coat everywhere, a light coat, and I don't think you have to use a lot. I use my fingers. I dig right in. Use my fingers and go ahead and smear it on everything. As you see, I already lubed up a lot. Like I said, let that set about 5 minutes to eat some of the grime off, and then we'll get back at it. Take your brush and you'll run it over everything. And what this is going to do, as you can see, I got it all over me already. And that's just from, like I said, about 88 rounds of firing the, Russian tool ammo. And what good's an AK if you can't shoot, Russian ammo through it? But you take this brush and you want to go over everything that you can. And what that's going to do is loosen up a lot of the crud and the grime and everything that's left behind the residue from the bullet. And if you clean your gun often and keep it lubed, it makes it that much more easier to clean. Okay, on the bolt, you especially want to pay special attention to the extractor and all of this mechanism, because this is what's going to be extracting your bullets. And hopefully you're not going to be performing any of the AK torture tests and putting mud and various nonsense into your firearm. But still, you want to make sure this is you want to pay extra attention to this extractor and the bolt to make sure it's good and clean and functions properly. Okay, and also, if you don't clean inside the trigger decent, you're going to have a grimy, crunchy trigger. And so far, this AK has got a real smooth trigger, and I want to keep it that way for as long as I have it. And also, you want to pay special attention to your feed ramp. It's a little, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's a smooth little slide. You can imagine the magazine going in, and the bullet goes up the feed ramp and into the chamber. That's special attention to that. You want to clean that really well, get all the grime out. And once again, after you spray it and scrub it down with the brush, you're going to want to get every single drop of oil out of it. Okay, now we've got all these parts cleaned to the very best of my ability, and we're going to start with the barrel. And you may be wondering why I do this and this before the barrel. And the reason is that while cleaning this, I'm subject to spray grease or get cleaner or solvent or the debris into the chamber. And so I like to get that last to make sure that's the last part that's getting clean, so no excess and debris. And something I want to go over while I'm about to go over to the barrel is these brushes. Okay, it is super important that whenever possible, unless you just have an emergency reason you cannot do it, you want to run the brush. You want to run the brush, patches, whatever, through the barrel. Make it travel the same way the bullet does. Always. You don't want to reverse it. Okay? And another thing, these bristles, when you stick it in, you'll feel resistance. Okay? You want to keep pushing until it comes plumb out the end of the barrel. If you stop midway, it'll try to bend backwards, and that will in fact damage your rifling. 100%. It will damage your rifling. Will it stop it from shooting? No, it'll continue to shoot. But accuracy will definitely suffer. Never reverse this midway through the barrel. They make different options to use for the brushes. I've seen them use the looks like a loop or whatever. I've seen people use that. I've used that for years. I had a good friend turn me on to these Jags, and what the Jag does, as you can see, it's made to where it fills up the entire space of the chamber and the barrel. So all the dirt and grime will be caught and pushed out the end. There is no doubt about that. I like to make sure all the little frillies are off my patch. I'm eyeball it just as center as possible. Dip the patch into hops number 9, which, you know, I'm sure some haters are going to see this and pick me apart for all the weird stuff I do, and, you know, maybe I can learn something from being picked apart. I don't know. But I like to use hops number 9. I've used it for years for cleaning my barrel, and I really like it. It's worked well for me. And now when you push this in there, you're going to feel some resistance. That's why I recommend you get a good rod. If you got a good rod that's coated, and I'm not talking about something with a cheap coating, because that coating will come off if it's cheap. It's got a little bearing in it, as you can see. That spins. That allows for the rifling to allow this to spin. And if you don't have a good sturdy rod, it will bend and bow and flex. See, this don't want to flex too bad. But if you get a cheap one, well, if you get one that's really flimsy, I should say, it will rub the rifling. And once again, that will hinder accuracy in the long run. You also want to be careful. They say the very first inch and the last inch of this barrel is the most critical. So you want to take your time, get lined up just so. I can't see for the lighting what I'm doing. Oh, got it. Now I'm going to grab it back here in the back. Now I'm going to give it good strong, and I'm trying to make sure all of it goes there so don't make too much of a mess. And as you see, you got to really put some effort into it. And like I said, don't freak out. I've done that before. I was cleaning a rifle, a new rifle, and I freaked out because I thought I'd had it stuck in there. But what that is, it's filling up that barrel, and it's lining it to where there's nothing can escape. It's trying to get all that garbage and debris out of there. See, a few good hard pushes, and this is what comes out. Now this is from shooting around, like I said, 80, maybe 100 rounds of that tool ammo through this AK-47. Now what I'm going to do is I'm running 2 or 3 of these patches without putting no more hops on it, just to dry it out and get it good and clean, and then we'll move on to the brush. Okay, now after you've applied the lubrication, you're going to put the bolt in the way I showed you earlier. It goes in here, turns around, and locks in. Rides right along that groove and locks right into place. And now you can't baby this firearm. I'm going to put it in there. Put it where the rails, the gap right there, and push down. When you push down, you'll feel it lock right in. Slams home. Put your spring in here. Make sure I didn't put too much lubrication to it. Once again, that's why I like to use my fingers. I feel if it's too lubey or too greasy, you can wipe it back down. Okay. You know, I'm sure somebody is going to say, if you don't know a lot about it, you might say, well, why would you clean all that lube out just to put different lube back in? For one thing, it says cleaner, lubricant, and preservative. I don't like the lubricant part of it. It's really thin. And also that when you're spraying it off, that is dirty oil. You know, like changing your car oil. This is thicker and it is now clean oil. That's why it's okay to put a little lubrication to it. And now when I first bought this, you know, it'd take me a couple minutes to get the hang of this final dust cover piece. But the trick is the spring part right back here in the back that you push to take it apart. You want to hook it to it first, and there's grooves right at the bottom there. After you got it touching it, you can push in with the spring and then just push down, and then there you go. That is the cleaning and reassembly of the AK. And now some people might say, why would you need to clean an AK if it's utterly durable, if it is the last gun that will still work when the world's blown up? You know, why would you need to clean an AK? Okay, some people say you don't. I like to. I like to think that in an emergency situation, input whatever trauma you're paranoid about, for any emergency situation, I would like to think it's clean from the get-go. It's clean right off the bat, and then if it gets dirty, you know, Lord willing, it's still running. It's still performing like an AK should. But I don't like to leave it sitting in the gun cabinet and getting filthy and dirty and dusty, knowing that old crud is still sitting around in there. Thanks guys for watching, and you know, like, share, and subscribe if you like it, and see you next time.